This is Abe Freetanzer from Awards Watch, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with Chris Sullivan from This Is Us. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having this conversation.
Of course, congratulations on your second Emmy nomination.
Thank you so much. I think it's very exciting.
How does it feel to be back in the race?
Yeah, I'm honored to be included in this list of actors. It's a list of my favorite actors. So.
Great. Well, we'll come back to that later. But for now, I want to issue a spoiler alert for anyone watching. Please don't continue watching right now if you haven't seen the end of season 5 of This Is Us. When did you first find out that Kate and Toby weren't always going to be together?
We've known for a few seasons now. We weren't sure. Dan wasn't sure how exactly we were going to get there, but that was information that he gave us that he thought would be be helpful, as opposed to getting 5 years down the road and being blindsided when the script arrives. So we've known for a while.
How did you first feel about it when you found out?
Obviously, it's a painful experience. Chrissy and I have related very closely, not only to these characters, but to each other. And so playing any kind of separation or disillusion of our relationship is painful for us. That being said, This Is Us is a show that discusses every aspect of relationship. And if you are going to do that, then you also have to discuss relationships that maybe don't last forever. And so I wasn't necessarily surprised because I knew, all right, they're going to have to deal with divorce at some point, I'm sure. And I don't think it's going to be Randall and Beth. So
we've also seen Toby in one of the flash forwards without Kate. And so I know back then I was thinking about, what's going on there. So I assume you can't tell us much about what's next for Toby.
Yeah, there's not much we can talk about as far as that goes, but yeah, I guess there was a part of me when we saw the flash forward and Toby was without Kate, that there was some kind of, Dan Fogelman, This Is Us twist that was going to manifest and bring them back together. But we'll see. Who knows? It's never too late. Dan can always change his mind.
And how do you feel about Chris Gere, who plays Philip?
I mean, he's a heck of an actor. If you can get an entire audience to dislike you that quickly, I mean, I've been through that on this show, as far as the ups and downs of how people feel about Toby and Kate's relationship.
And so what was it like filming this show during the pandemic, and more than a lot of others, I think, fully incorporating the pandemic into the storylines?
Yeah, I think Dan, I don't know if the writers were excited to realize that they were going to have to discuss what was going on in the world, not just with the pandemic, but with George Floyd and everything else going on in the world. But I think it felt a bit like a responsibility. Like I've come to understand that This Is Us, the title of this show, is not just a title. It's how the audience reacts to seeing the show. They, this thing that we are seeing, these relationships that we are witnessing, it's us. Like, this is us. And so when the pandemic came along, and with everything else going on in the world, Dan and the writers, obviously very quickly came to the realization that they were going to have to address those things, because if we were going to reflect back to our audience an accurate depiction of themselves, then we will have to address what they are going through. And so it wasn't too difficult to get into that headspace, because we too were going through it. Dan luckily created a work environment, where I think we made it through the entire season with 350 employees and only one positive test and one that was a false positive. And that's kind of statistically amazing, but it just shows you how much we all respect each other and respect our position to be able to tell these stories and to continue working and to keep our jobs. and then hopefully offer our audience some kind of solace through reflection.
Were there any plot lines that you found particularly poignant in season 5, whether for Toby or for other characters?
I mean, I had the opportunity to work with an actor named Michael O'Neill, who is a legend. And as soon as I saw him on the call sheet, I was over the moon. And we had a couple of scenes together to, you know, kind of reflect back to the audience what was going on in hospitals around the country. You know, people were being separated from their loved ones. Their loved ones were not only sick, but they could not be with them. They could not be there to comfort or console them. You know, one of our best friends is a nurse in Chicago, and you know, the trauma of everything going on is horrific on the level of people are dying at massive rates, but the long-lasting trauma are the family members who couldn't be with them, and the medical workers who are witnessing this over and over and over again on a daily basis. Like our friend used to lose 1, maybe 2 patients a year, you know, and now she's the one who has to hold the iPad so that people can say goodbye to their families 3 to 4 times a day. And being able to talk about that and to kind of show people the seriousness of the situation, if they didn't understand it already, in a way that felt compassionate and pointed, was it was a privilege to be able to communicate these stories and to try and comfort people who maybe felt alone over the last year and a half.
Yeah, and of course, the episode that you're talking about in the room is your Emmy episode submission, which I think does a really good job of showing, what that was like. What was it like to be able to work with Michael and to, be celebrating this moment from afar while he was going through something so difficult?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. I just felt really grateful to be able to work and to tell these stories and to work in a safe environment where people were taking this thing seriously, and also to work with this legend in our industry. I mean, I've been watching Michael literally since I was a kid, and so to have the opportunity to tell the story with him on that day, on that night, was really special.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Michael, and what I would always cite him that I know him from is 20 years ago, he was in 24. And he's only in the first 2 episodes, but he just made like a big impact on me. And I know he's been in Grey's Anatomy and Council of Dads, a lot of other stuff. So it's nice to know that there are other fans of his out there, just because he's one of those people who doesn't usually have big roles, but it's nice to recognize him in smaller, impactful stuff like this.
Yeah, over the pandemic, we rewatched The West Wing, and he shows up as a Secret Service special agent in that as well. Kind of lined up. He showed up in the series exactly as we were shooting that episode. It was really exciting.
That's great. And of course, the show This Is Us is coming to an end. Are you sad to see it go, or do you feel like it's completed its arc, or will have completed its arc?
Of course, yeah. Of course, it'll be sad to bring all of these stories to an end. But I'm really happy with the way that we are doing that. Dan has always said he wants to do 6 seasons. He doesn't want to do any more. And I'm not sure people fully understand the restraint that it takes to do that in an industry where, I'm sure there are plenty of executives who would air new episodes of This Is Us till the end of time if they could, and to walk away with intentionality and some mindfulness, and to end the stories exactly the way he wants, with no filler, not stretching things out, not biding his time, but to tell a concise and complete story for beginning to end is a privilege, is a really I feel very satisfied doing it that way.
And what do you think you've learned about yourself most as an actor over the course of this show?
I have learned that the biggest thing that gets in my way is usually myself. I have learned that if I'm not focused enough, can get off track as far as the. I tend to have a lot of fun, and that can sometimes be antithetical to the work that others are trying to do around me. So I've learned quite a bit. I've learned a lot about myself as a husband and now as a father, and the show's taught me a lot about how to be better at both of those things. So yeah, it's been a great learning experience for me on all fronts.
I think some of my favorite moments of the show are when the Pearson plus ones sort of come together when you're with Beth and Miguel and other people.
Yeah.
Will we see more of those moments? And is there any character that Toby hasn't really gotten to interact with that you hope to share scenes with in the final season?
I mean, there's no physical way possible for Toby to interact with Jack, but This Is Us has figured out ways for those types of things to happen. I always love sitting down with John Huertas and Susan. This last season we had that whole campfire scene where Griffin Dunn and Justin and Sterling and John and I got to sit around a campfire and just have a nice scene together, and that was a bit of a dream come true to look over and see legend Griffin Dunn sitting over there. So yeah, I mean, I hope I get a good shot to work with, have a nice scene with everyone this last season before we wrap it up.
That sounds great. And as you mentioned before, you're in great company in your Emmy category. You have all these fantastic shows and performers. Is there anyone that you're really particularly honored to be, with, and any shows that you love just as much as everyone else loves This Is Us?
I mean, Giancarlo Esposito is one of the greatest actors of all time, as is John Lithgow. They are two of my favorites. But I mean, I've been watching Handmaid's Tale since the beginning. And of course, Tobias is incredibly formidable in his own right. But yeah, I've had several interactions with Giancarlo over the last few years, and he just seems to be one of the kindest human beings I've come across in this industry or anywhere else for that matter. And to be back in the category with him, he now in a different show, which we have been watching nonstop here, is it's really exciting.
Do you have any other favorite shows that have been getting you through the pandemic?
Ted Lasso, of course, has been a favorite. Yeah, I think that was our big one. I was kind of blown away by season 1 of that show, and I was really glad to see every single person on that show nominated for something.
And what do you have coming up next?
Working on a bunch of stuff, getting all the balls rolling. Working on a feature film. Right before the pandemic, I shot a short film called Hammer Down with Guardians of the Galaxy 2 producer Simon Hatt. And so we're developing that into a feature length that will hopefully hit the ground running as soon as This Is Us wraps and he wraps Guardians 3. They kind of line up, so it should line up perfectly.
That's great. And is there any parting message you want to share with fans of This Is Us and especially fans of Toby as they wait for the show to return?
I think just thank you for sharing this story with us. Thank you for being such wonderful fans. Thank you to you. I know you've always been a big fan of the show, and you've always championed me, and I appreciate that. And I thank you for having me as a guest.
Thank you so much. It's really great to speak with you and great to meet with you, and good luck at the Emmys.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care.